Hello, my beautiful friends. How are y'all doing today? Happy Thursday. Hope everybody's doing good, having a good day. Excuse me, I just sneezed about 4 times right before I come on live, before it hit the camera came on. So, anyways, allergies. Hello to everybody. Thank y'all for being here. Let me get our banner up and I'm going to say hello to everybody today. It is Autism Awareness Month in honor of Sebastian. We are going to do this until the last day of April. Hello, Brown Eyes. How are you doing, Brown Eyed Girls? Hi, Heather, YouTuber. How you doing? Hi, Tap Dancer Lizzie. Hi, Charlene and Brenda. How you doing? Excuse my dogs, y'all. They think they might see something. Hey, TJ. Hey, West End. Show Poodles. How are y'all doing? Hope everybody's good. Hi, Brandon. Hope Floats. There's Miss Teresa. Hello. Holly S. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you guys for being here so much. I appreciate everybody. Sorry that I had to do early today, but I do have 3 ball games tonight. So I get to watch my little man at 6. I gotta be there about 5:30. Show Poodles has been a member for 2 months. So glad to be here, Lolly. Oh, thank you, Show Poodles. We are so glad to have you here with us. Thank you. So I get to watch my little man, and then after his game, I will have the 2 girls playing at the same time, 2 different fields. So I'll be, but I love it. Love it. So, anyways, guys, we are going to finish Nina's interview today. If y'all watched yesterday, you'll remember the things she said at the beginning are a lot of things that we're seeing actually happen now. You know, she made a comment about how Mr. Chris got so angry and just off the cuff really quick. We've seen that happen while he's on live talking. And hi, Deafening Silence. How you doing? Welcome. Hi, Gemini 2. Thanks for being here. And so she mentions about the court, being in court against Christopher Proudfoot to get her daughter back. How they had the whole one side of the court filled up and just laughing, cutting up like they own the whole place. We're seeing that as well with Bullhorn Betty. So this is the reasons why I wanted to go over Nina's story, to compare what we know now to what she told us in the very beginning. There are some things that people will never change, and these are a few of those things. So let's get started, and then we're going to have some discussion afterwards. So let me get that ready to go. Get off the screen there. And here we go, guys. Let's finish up where we left off. I'm going to go back just a tiny bit so that we can all just kind of remind ourselves the part she was just talking about. Okay, so we're going to go back just a little bit. All right, guys, here we go.
And he was so angry, and my daughter overheard him say, she won, she won. And I remember my dad was still sitting behind me, and and he had tears in his eyes, and he's like, let's go. And my attorney followed me outside, and we went out, and there was just so much chaos coming from the Proudfoots, and we went outside very humbly, and he took us in back of the courthouse the other way, and right there and then I hit my knees. I finally could be relieved, like a big, oh my God, we did this. And he said, 8:30, go pick her up. I said, thank you, Mr. Edwards. I said, I owe you my life to you helped me get my baby back. So then we went back to our truck, and we went back to the apartment. We packed what we could, and we pretty much left everything else behind in the storage unit. At that time, I didn't need anything. Because I had everything I've ever wanted. I remember my dad saying, come on, you gotta go.
Uh-oh. There we go.
So we went to the sheriff's department, and we showed up, and I remember I told my dad, I said, wait here. I said, stay at that Wendy's. So my dad stayed at that Wendy's waiting for me, and he said, okay, he's like, you call me when you're on your way so I can follow you out, okay? And I said, okay, Dad. We got to the sheriff's department. Christopher and his Michael, Linda, Kathy, Big D, Melissa, his whole entire family was there. So then the exchange was happening, and they live streamed me on Facebook. They said, I can't believe the judge awarded her custody. And I was just standing there, I remember, and I said, can I have my baby back, please? And I remember his mother had her phone in her hand, or his mother, yes, and she had a brown paper sack full of diapers and a dirty bottle. And she threw it at me, and she said, I think you're gonna need this, laughing. Then I said, thank you. And my two younger children were sitting in the back. And then I said, okay, can I have Faith back now? So I forget if it was Kathy or Chris, but they tossed her at me, and I caught her. And I said, thank you. So then I get her in her car seat, trying to buckle her up and telling my kids, I said, you need to buckle up. I said, okay, we're going to leave. I remember at the time, my front door had opened at that time, and Christopher got inside of my driver's seat of my truck. And everybody was still filming, live streaming me on Facebook. And Melissa Proudfoot had said, why don't you put it in reverse and drive over her?
Could y'all just imagine such a glorious time being able to get your child back where she belonged and having to go through all of this with Chris and his entire family? They're a very close family. But oh, some of the dirtiest things they've all done together. Keep that in mind, folks.
And I told my kids, I said, get out. I'm trying to get Faith out again. And I told my kids, and I remember he put the truck in reverse. And I told my kids, I said, get out. I said, jump, get out. And I remember them getting out as fast as they could. And we're running into the sheriff's department, and I had Faith, and I'm running, and I'm yelling, and I'm asking for help. I said, somebody please help me. Nobody came out.
This is law enforcement in Gallatin, Hendersonville. Sorry, not Gallatin, in Hendersonville, where they lived. Nina's trying to get in the door with her children because she felt threatened. And yet they did not let her in. And we have questions today about law enforcement being in that family's back pockets. Yeah, TJ, this is proof that the cops there are corrupt. I don't trust them. I have a very uneasy feeling when it comes to law enforcement in that town because they all know each other. And for them to do this to a mother and her 3 young children tells me they're not there to serve and protect everyone. Only those that the Bowerstocks or Proudfoots approve of, I guess.
And then finally, he came in, Christopher, behind me. And they finally opened the door. And they put me in a back room with my kids. They turned the lights off on us. In the process of me calling my attorney to tell him what was going on, Kathy disconnected my cell phone.
Do you see, folks? This is how they work. The cops turned the lights off in that room. Left her and 3 small children in a dark room. Miss Kathy knew she would be calling for help, so she disconnects her phone, knowing that she's going to be driving away with 3 young kids. And now she has to travel over several states with no phone. That's how they work, folks. This is how this family is. They don't give a shit about no one but themselves. Sebastian was a no one to them. Could you just imagine his life with these people? That they don't care about anybody except protecting themselves.
And I remember Mr. Edwards calling the police department and telling them they need to let me go. And at the time, Christopher was still in the military. And Mr. Edwards, I remember them telling him, you know, she needs to go because this could possibly cause Mr. Proudfoot his career. So at that,
I wonder if that's why Mr. Chris was dishonorably discharged from his military service. Just asking.
at that point in time, I got escorted outside by a couple of sheriffs that were there. And I mean, they seemed like they knew each other, all of them, the Proudfoots.
Hear that? The Proudfoots knew the sheriffs, the ones that wouldn't let her in at the very beginning, turned the lights off on her while in the room. They all knew each other.
And I remember Christopher had asked one of the sheriffs if he could say goodbye to Faith, and I said, absolutely not. So I remember getting in my truck after I got the kids in. And I called my dad and I told him what happened. He was so mad. He goes, he was lucky I wasn't there. I'd have knocked the shit out of him. He said, so I said, all right, Dad, I'm coming. Well, everybody followed me down the interstate. My dad and I were weaving in and out of traffic, trying to lose them. The whole family were following me and Dad about 80, 90 miles an hour. We were going down the interstate just to get away from them.
Nina has 3 small children in her car. One of those children is their granddaughter, and they're going to chase her hauling ass down the freeway. Folks, this just shows more and more and more about they don't give a damn about anyone but themselves. I would never, ever chase down my son or my daughter-in-law or my daughter and my son-in-law if they had my grandchildren in the car. I wouldn't do it to start with, but especially knowing children are in that car. But they don't care. They did not care. They wanted to put fear into Nina more than they already had. That's all they care about. Remember, Mr. Terry would pay anybody cash money to do away with Nina. These are the kind of people we're talking about. The kind of people she made her way to get away from them.
We drove all night. We finally got to Little Rock, Arkansas. And Dad had asked me Are you tired? So I could see if I could try to sleep. We couldn't sleep. So then we drove all the way home. We were all scared. We didn't know what was gonna happen. We drove. The relief that I had just to see, I've never felt so relieved to see that New Mexico. Welcome to New Mexico sign.
I don't think for Nina there's ever going to be enough space between her and that family. Being back in her home state has got to be a relief. But at the same time, she is still, all these years later, dealing with that family. Hi, Solo Angel Mom. It is good to take a mental break every now and then. I'm so glad to know that you're okay and you're still hanging in with us. But at any time, folks, this becomes too much. Step back, step away for a little bit, rejuvenate yourself, because we are literally discussing a missing child and all the crap that surrounds his case. So as you listen, think about these people and what we've seen. Think about these people and realize she survived them. It was pure hell. Good night, West End. You take care of yourself. Yeah, she will never be free from them. Unless they're all locked up, that is. Could that even be possible? I agree, Miss Rhonda, because he's terrified. They're being harassed daily. They're being threatened daily by Bullhorn Betty. But yet they're not terrified enough to bring their daughter to their home. Make that make sense. And I hope Nina has copies of that where it says, I'm not afraid. And then I hope she has the copies also that say, we are terrified. We're being threatened daily. That woman is unhinged. All the things that they say that is disrupting their life, but yet he lies to the judge about he's not worried to bring his daughter to their home. Exactly, TJ. And I think when she presents that to a judge, that judge in New Mexico may think twice. Or at least I hope so. Because that baby girl deserves way better. I agree, Solo. Angel Mom, how did he even get someone as beautiful as her? She's absolutely beautiful. And her daughter is just as beautiful. Both of her girls are. Her son is very handsome. And they're having a good life. Then the baby has to go to her dad, where they're enjoying their time alone with her and no distractions, such as Sebastian. Let's listen to some more, guys.
I was finally home. Finally, we made it. Chris kept calling, and I avoided him like the plague. Because the judge in Tennessee awarded me custody. He had no jurisdiction over Faith or myself or my other 2 children. And at the time of all this, they brought CPS involved in that case over there. So we get home here, not even a couple days goes by. He ended up calling CPS on us here. And using CPS against me every chance that he got. Showing up.
Who in their right? I'm telling you, folks, I have never heard of people calling so many times CPS as I have here on YouTube. I couldn't imagine having to deal with CPS because you have an ex-husband that is an idiot and wants to use that program. Hey, Miss Kathy, you're good. Thanks for being here. Hi, Belinda. Everybody else coming in, thank y'all for being here. Love each and every one of y'all. CPS. He called CPS every chance he could get. He's a desperate man to get his daughter so that his mommy can raise her. And if anybody wants to stand up and say his mother doesn't pull the trigger on the whole family and have them do the dirty work for her, I'm going to call you crazy. That woman wants this little girl. Mr. Chris didn't even want her to have that baby. He wasn't even there when she was born. He came to the hospital and did nothing but cause chaos. But, I guess he was so conveniently familiar with CPS that he felt comfortable calling all the time. I do believe so, Kim. I think she does say that there were cameras inside the home, and she had seen them, I believe. Here we go.
Going up to my kids' school, scaring my kids, just like he did in Tennessee. So I filed for divorce here, which I should have filed on.
Yes, Alicia.
Tribal land at the time. Because I wouldn't be going through this. So the divorce happened, but it dragged on and on and on because Christopher made a big deal about absolutely everything. I had to ask for permission to leave Bernalillo County. I had to tell him what I was doing, and if I left New Mexico, he had to know. I am part Native American, so our reservation is probably about 4 to 5 hours from Albuquerque, and at the time, my grandmother was still alive. So we would go out there to see her, and he really never wanted me to take Faith out there.
He married a woman that he knew was American Indian. But yet he doesn't want his daughter to go to a reservation to see her great grandmother. Anytime she left her town, she had to let that jackass know. How stupid is this? This is how petty he is. He's trying his best to wear down Nina. But this is one strong woman, folks. You were looking at a survivor of Christopher Proudfoot who wanted to come out and speak the truth and tell us. And there's no way they can say she's sitting here lying, because things that she has already told us, we've seen happen. Is that not crazy? Yes, Gemini. And he comes up with Native American quote recently. And someone said that he is part Native American now, is what he has said. I mean, go figure. If he can't have control of it, he's just going to become that. Is that how this works? Tell you what, his tribe would have been very disappointed in him. And if he had a tribe, they would probably disown him. TJ's not part Native American. He's part white trash. Okay, that was funny. Oh, Lord. Yeah, there was some kind of post or something on his Facebook page or somewhere that he said he had Native American in him. But yet he doesn't want his daughter to have anything to do with it. What the hell? Part white trash. He is white trash. He is the epitome of what we would say white trash. Yes, Brandon, I just got that Amber Alert. I looked into it a little bit. Yeah. I have Cherokee Indian in me. My great grandmother was raised most of her life on an Indian reservation. When she was married my great grandfather, and they had a home in town, she was so excited to have a home and go to a grocery store and all that stuff. And she would buy little snacks for me when I would go visit her, and I visited her a lot. And she would sit there, and she had that long black hair. She would put it over her shoulder, and she would braid it. She called it plaiting. But she bought snacks for me, and it was baby food jars of like custard and applesauce and that kind of thing. My mom finally told her one day, that's for babies when they're first little babies. I loved her so much. Yes, my great grandmother was as well. Yes, at least they protect their own on the reservation. Yes, yes, yes. And there is nothing wrong with having any other type of blood in your body, of any color, any race, whatever. You are who you are. You don't get to choose what your bloodline is. So here we go. Let's look at some more. Or listen.
And on top of that, he really never wanted Faith to be Native American. Christopher knew that I was Mexican American and also Native American, but he hated the fact that, and he still hates the fact that Faith is part Native American. So just everything. He would take me back to court for just everything. It wasn't a good divorce.
I bet, Alicia.
And the parenting
Yeah.
plans, it had to be his way or nobody's way. He had to have the last word, and this is what he wanted. And his attorney made sure that's exactly what he
Wow,
got.
Sky Maiden, that's awesome.
A lot of times I gave in because I wanted it to be over. I didn't want to have to or have somebody dictate what I can and can't do. I mean, I've been a mother for an X amount of years at this time, and it wasn't like, I'm new to all this. But everything had always had to have been Christopher's way. And even though I gave him what he wanted, it was something different. Oh, Faith can't wear leggings, or, just the stupidest things, or, it was dumb. I can't even recall how many hearings I went to with Christopher. It's been horrible. So at this point in time,
Sky Maiden, that's awesome. When my great grandmother was in the nursing home, they had to finally put her in the nursing home. She had developed diabetes and she was just almost blind, and it was hard to help her. And they cut her hair to make it easier for them to manage for her. And I cried and I cried. It broke my heart because she loved her hair and was so proud of her hair. It was part of who she was. Guys, do y'all hear what she's saying? Sorry if y'all can hear my dogs. They're insane. But did you hear her say that Faith could not wear leggings? Because why? What is so wrong with a little girl wearing leggings? My gosh. That is the most pettiest thing I've ever heard in my life. But that is complete control. That is someone to be so petty. It's absolutely insane and disgusting. Good, Sky Maiden. You should always keep it long.
I didn't really agree to the parenting plan. I didn't like it, but I signed it anyways, just because I wanted it to be over with. The divorce was finally final.
Remember the parenting plan that Mr. Chris himself, he wrote the damn thing. Remember? Those were his words.
And he was still stationed, I believe, in San Diego at this point in time. He was, if I'm correct, he was already living with Katie when we were still married. We were going through the divorce, but he had moved in with her.
Look at there. All I need is Jesus, coffee, and true crime. Yes, yes, yes. KK sure was wearing leggings, yoga pants at the Roadhouse. She sure was. Mr. Chris had nothing against leggings, I'm sure. Yeah, Ivy League. I'm even as big as I am. I still wear leggings. That's just him controlling everything he can. That's how stupid he is.
And I was pretty surprised how fast he moved on with his life. Like we never mattered. Like Faith was like, he never had a family. But I should have known that as well prior to the marriages before me, like how he just moved on so quickly with his life. So
there's a pattern.
He would take Faith out there when she was little, like for 2 weeks or a week. And, Katie and them would be living the family life. I, at the time, did not know.
Ivy League, he said that he wrote Seth's parenting plan, and it's the exact same parenting plan that he wrote for his ex-wife.
Katie. I would just see Katie through FaceTime where she would be doing something in the background.
Yes, Brandon.
And I would ask Christopher, I would tell him, I can't believe you've moved on with your life so quick. Like who does that? Well, back and forth we would be going, with Faith. And I finally moved on with my life. But Christopher had made a statement the other night on one of the interviews, the podcasts that he was doing. And I didn't like the way he said this, how he called Nina moved in with a man. Like, he knows this person's name. And he deserves to be called his name, not the man. And remind you, I've known Wayne for over 3.5 years. He was my client before we even got exclusive, like being in a relationship, before we even moved in together. He knew I had children. I mean, so for him to sit there and say that, he basically made it sound like he didn't know this person. He does. So here we are. Faith is 6. I'm still living in this nightmare that he's created.
Bernice, you didn't delete that message? That's crazy. Yeah, the man who had to take parenting classes. He was ordered 6 times to take a parenting class. And this is a person that's writing up a parenting plan. Yeah, make sense, right? Exactly. Seth would have moved wherever they went just so he could be close to his child. Yes, Ivy League. She is so out of his league. That is weird. If anybody's jacking with my chat, y'all better quit it. I have eyes in here. You'll be found out.
We live in fear every single day. We're constantly watching over our backs. My kids don't even know what a normal childhood should feel like, because they were exposed to all this at a very young age. The awful things that other people could do.
No, locked and loaded. I'm not meaning anybody in here. Who knows what happened? Who knows? It might be a YouTube glitch type of thing, or StreamYard. Who knows? But no, nothing personal to anybody in here. Unless you're the one doing it. And then it's personal to whoever that person is. But no, you're good. We're glad to have you.
My oldest daughter said it best. She said, "Mom, I feel like I was robbed of my childhood because of Chris. Because of everything that he's done. I've had to grow up so quick to protect my siblings.
Bless her heart.
And you protecting us and always living in fear. Being called to the office and wondering if Child Protective Services was there. She's 15 now and still hates to go to the office.
Hey, Brianna.
Because of everything that he's done and his family has done. I feel helpless because I feel like I can't protect them enough. And I wish there was more that I can do. We're still living in this nightmare. We're still going to court. He still complains about everything when it's not his way.
When it's not
in
his
the beginning,
way.
There was CPS called. He used Child Protective Service on me because of the divorce, to get my children taken away from me. He has a friend that works at Albuquerque Police Department as well. I don't know if he still keeps in contact with him. I believe so. He was told to do a welfare check on us one night, but he didn't take the call, probably because he knew both of us. I mean, I don't know, and I don't know how that would have been used against him either, I guess. Maybe he was worried about that. Just, he's been filing for full custody, Christopher, for about a year to 2 years now, if I recall. A lot of this stuff is just, it doesn't make sense to me. He's made a mess. He tells people that I'm unstable, that I need a psychiatric evaluation.
Does this woman look as if she's mental? She's unstable. After all that she's been through, and she is telling her story with grace. I'm telling you what, I don't think I would have been so nice. I think there would have been several cuss words being thrown out of my mouth when talking about those disgusting, vile people. But they're digging and doing anything possible to make her life a living hell because she stood up to them and fought them and is still fighting for her daughter. I believe he was dishonorably. I think it was him. She receives a pension, so she served her time. Hello to everybody coming in. Hi, Lady for Justice. Hi, Couponin. I can't believe the man that just lost his shit on Cluminati's channel and said the most disgusting, vile, angry words I've ever heard a man say towards a woman. Totally ripping and tearing her to pieces, and tells anybody that follows her that they can start a shotgun as far as he's concerned. He wants his child. He believes he deserves a child in his home. He lost a child from his home. Exactly. Man, anybody with DV, violent, PTSD, God love them. They do not need to hear what he said. The anger in his voice. He made fun and mocked religion. Yes, show poodles. The same mouth he talked to Sebastian with. Could you just imagine Sebastian's life with Mr. Chris? That's what Sebastian called him. Who wants to bet that that's what Chris wanted? Because he deserves respect. And Mr. shows respect. I feel heartbroken for Sebastian every time I hear anyone speak about that man. I have fear for Sebastian. I don't know, but I'll tell you what. If Nina wanted to play all the things Mr. Chris has said that's horrible and absolutely disgusting, play the video, the interview with the man that worked for his stepfather's words saying, I will pay cash to anyone who wants to do away with that woman. Speaking about Nina. No judge, if they knew all of it, would ever allow that to happen. Mr. Chris told a judge in New Mexico that he was not afraid to have his daughter there. They were safe. Because Nina tried not to let her go right after Sebastian was missing, only for a couple of months. Could you imagine being a mother, knowing that they lost a child out of their home, and now your daughter has to go? Your daughter has to be in that home. But that was early on, folks, and there was nothing they had to legally keep him from getting her. The judge that decided whether Faith was going to go over the summer or not was in New Mexico. So hopefully she will do it again to keep her daughter from having to go to the home of the man who speaks so vile and with such anger. Let's just all say a prayer for Nina and her children, because they deserve way better than Christopher and his family have given her. Let's listen to some more, folks.
That I'm pretty much crazy.
She is not crazy by any means. We're going to speed it up.
I mean,
just a little.
It's been a nightmare. And the recent one, why he's pushing for full custody is because I moved Faith out of Bosque Farms Elementary to a Native American academy in Albuquerque, where my youngest son goes and my oldest daughter goes down the street to a high school, and it's a minute away. So I was trying to make the commute easier for all of us. All my kids are in curricular activities. My son's in football. My Faith cheers for her brother's Yaffle football team. So practice. My two older girls are in Mexican folk dancing. Faith and her older sister are in Mexican folk dancing.
Lady for Justice, I'm hoping that she does. And I believe she's the mother that would. I believe she would use every bit of this that she could. No, Belinda, I haven't heard anything about the protest yesterday. I heard it was very peaceful. There was about 25 to 30 people there. And if they continue to do that, that would be amazing. They were going to have some signs with Sebastian's name on it, but it was about a rapper guy. And I'm not familiar with his case, but they were going to have signs and pictures of Sebastian there as well.
My children are in 4-H. So my kids are super busy, and I work in the city as well. So trying to make my life easier, I decided to put her there. And he did not like that, him and his attorney. So they're pushing for full custody about that. I mean, I can't even recall how many other nonsense issues have been brought up. My children, myself, I mean, I'm over it. I'm tired. This has worn my whole entire family down, my children, myself. All this is like the first thing I think of when I wake up and the last thing I think about when I go to sleep.
Bless her heart.
There's no
Thank
words
you,
to explain.
Brianna. Thank you. Sending prayers to Nina and her kids. Thank you so much.
I mean, and on top of that, we were supposed to go to trial March 5th.
Listen closely, folks. March 5th.
March 5th. And the first one, March 5th. I went to court January 2nd of 2024. Continuing cases, I had to pay for his attorney fees because I pulled Faith out of Bosque Farms. Although I contacted him through email, he never replied to me. I contacted my lawyer at the time, he never replied to me. So what was I supposed to do? I mean, I had to do what was in best interest for Faith and everybody else. So I ended up paying the legal fee for Christopher.
She took her child out of a school and put her child in a more convenient school that was just as good that her other child was going to, because the kids are so active. They would all be in the same area. Sounds like a great mother to me, doing what is needed and best. And she ended up in court because she did not let Chris know. $10. He read that email. He never replied. And probably in his mind, and his mother's words as well, don't reply. And if she does it, take her back to court. That's how they work, folks. That's how they work.
Because his lawyer complained about that. So then we went to trial. We got a date for trial. Boy, I was furious when I left my lawyer's office. I feel like I hire all these lawyers that never took the bat for Faith and listened to anything that I have ever said. I've always told people in the past, the people that were working for Faith and myself, the kind of person that Christopher really was. Nobody listened. I mean, he's hurt my children. He's hurt my son. He's backhanded my son as well and busted his nose open when he was 3 in the car seat in San Diego. He's did that to my daughter. He's hurt Faith in the car seat, like I said. It's fallen on dead ears. It's coming up on 7 years. Nobody.
Guys, this was just a few months after Sebastian had gone missing. And it was 7 years she was in court battling against Mr. Chris. 7 years.
Do you want me to have the puppy?
No, it's good. Thank you.
Okay, also, is it okay if Mama leaves Allie here with you? I'm not dancing my football game.
Yeah, I'll take Allie to the ball field with me, but tell Allie we're leaving at a little before 5:30. Ace has a game. Okay. Love you.
You can tell Allie that, actually.
Love you. Have a good time at dance. Okay, sorry guys. Getting the day schedule figured out. Exactly. I hope that she has enough recordings now and she can herself show right here. Thank you, Brianna. Is it going to show? There it goes. CP is a danger to all kids, in my opinion. And it's not just your opinion. There are tons of us. And if we knew when she was going to court and anyone lived close by, we could go and support her. We can speak on the words that we've heard him say. I'm sure we could all put out a petition or something to do anything just to help her. Because Nina deserves a life without Mr. Chris crawling up her ass 24/7. It's all because he can't let go of his control. This man wants to control so bad. It's disgusting. Locked and loaded, you could be right. They could both have anger issues. They really could. But I don't think Seth would take his to the point of hurting his child. I don't see that. Mr. Chris is here, as we've heard her speak, has already shown anger towards her children. Aggressiveness towards her children that weren't even his, but he felt the need for control in his home. You don't think Sebastian is hurt? I hope not. I really, really hope not. But the way Sebastian was removed from the home is what worries me the most. Yes, Jim and I, after all these marriages, there's a common denominator, and it's called Mr. Chris. It's crazy. It is all so insane and crazy. Brianna, thank you for that super chat there. I appreciate you so much. Let's do a little happy dance. Thank you for that. You are so sweet and kind. And I agree with you 100%. Okay, let's play some more here.
Nobody listens to me. Nobody knows the pain that I went through. Nobody knows that I live in fear. It's like back and forth. It's like a game to Christopher with Faith. Christopher dangles Faith over my head as if she's like some kind of toy to be played with. She's not a toy. She's a little girl
Yes, Texas Plain
that
Jane.
has feelings
Go, my sister.
and strong feelings. We can't help the fact that Christopher decided to move to Tennessee. He chose that for himself. I've never known of a person that lives in a whole different state and still dictates what you can and can't do to the other parent. He had a choice to live here. He was actually told to move here by the judge.
Oh, but it would have been too far from Mr. Chris's mommy. And he's still on the tit, in my opinion.
But he lives in Tennessee. He tells me pretty much what I can and can't do still to this day by that court order.
Right, Patty. He's protected there. You're right.
Going back to the trial, was getting prepared. And
Yes, Charlene. I wish that would
I
happen.
get the call. You get a call. And at this point in time, I'm not talking to Christopher. We don't, I want to make that loud and clear. We do not have a good co-parenting relationship. We don't talk on a regular basis. I refuse to talk to Christopher because everything has to be his way. I don't entertain any of his conversations. In the past, when I used to, and I thought that a relationship between him and I, and we're learning how to co-parent and it's good, it backfired. It kicked me in my ass.
How many recall him saying early on what a wonderful parenting relationship they have, him and his ex-wife, concerning their daughter, and then him and Katie, and with Seth for Sebastian? He made it out like everything was smelling like roses. It was so good and perfect. And here this woman wants nothing at all to do with him, but she's forced by the courts to have to do it. Just another lie Mr. Chris told. Just another lie.
Everything that I told he used against me in court all the time. Every single thing. So I had to learn not to trust him. I don't talk to him. So for him to say on some of his podcasts is that we have good, parenting skills, or we don't know how to talk to each other. I refuse to communicate with this man. So he calls me that Wednesday, and he's like, and I was like, oh great, he's calling. So I just went straight to voicemail. And then he had said 911, call me. So then I was like, well, it must be emergency, so let me call him. I called him and I said, what's up, Chris? And he was like, he's like, Nina, I got to tell you something. And I was like, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to tell me that the trial, we're not going to go to trial, that everything is going to be done with, and we don't need to worry, and we can, we don't need to do all this stuff. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. And then he tells me, I got to be open and honest with you. And then he pauses like for 6 or 7 seconds. And I'm like, I was like, what do you have to tell me? So then at that point in time, he tells me that Sebastian went missing. And I was speechless. I have to say I was speechless. And then I went into saying, well, what happened? Like, how did he go missing? Like, what happened? And he said, well, he went missing between 12:30 and 6 a.m. And I'm like, it's thinking to myself, and then, like, that's crazy. And I said, don't you have security cameras, Christopher? I said, you mean you have security cameras in your house? I mean, don't you? And he paused. He didn't say anything.
There it is. She said, didn't you have security cameras in your house? She knew they did, but he avoided that subject. How convenient.
So then I said, what happened to your dogs? They said, don't your dogs? They said, you have those Yorkies or, and I said, every time that I call Faye, they said they're barking. He didn't say nothing.
What? The dogs were barking? Oh, isn't that convenient as well?
So I said, huh. I said, are you lying to me? I said, because I mean, thinking in my head, like, are you just buying more time for this trial that's coming up? Like, you know, what other information are you going to find out that you're going to use against me, right? So then I said, I'm going to look this up. And I said, have you contacted your lawyer yet? I said, we still have a trial. I said at 8:30 next Tuesday. And he had raised his voice at me and he said, we're not going. And I was like, don't raise your voice at me. You're not going to disrespect me like that. You're not going to raise your voice at me.
Okay.
So then I said, by law, I said, I have to contact my attorney. And I said, I'm going to email him as soon as I get off the phone with you. And I'm going to tell him that there's a missing child. And I had stated like, okay, well, is there like something, we could do? Can you send me like a flyer? Can you send me something? I said, I could put it on my social media and it'll take off. Like I have a lot of people that I know and a lot of my clientele. I said, we're willing to, they share a lot of my stuff. So he never sent me anything.
What? Mr. Chris never sent a flyer or anything to her? Really? Wow. That's crazy because he tells us that they've been putting flyers all over the United States. But once again, we have someone saying he didn't give me anything when I offered to share it out. How convenient.
And he was so worried about his phone and he had said something. He's like, the fucking cops had my phone and I had to call Faith and I told him I had to fucking call my daughter. And I said, Christopher, I said, you need to calm down. I said, Faith is fine. She's with me. I'm her mother. I said, she was with her family here. I said, you don't need to worry about her. You don't need to worry about her whatsoever. And and he wanted to say more and he repeated himself again and he said, I need to be honest with you. And I was like, Christopher, I don't have time for this. I said, I just don't. I said, I gotta go. And that was it, the conversation that I had with him. I keep kind of beating myself up. Maybe I should have stayed on the phone a little bit longer. Maybe I should have let him talk. But with the experiences that I've had with Christopher in the past, I just couldn't trust him. So then I contacted my attorney the next day and I told him what was going on with Sebastian. I mean, I was hoping that, and I keep hoping, and we're praying every single day for his return home. But the more and more days that had passed by, the more and more that I got, like, oh my God, like, this is crazy. Like, and the things that didn't make sense to me was why Christopher and Katie aren't looking for Sebastian. I don't know, but I know if one of my babies went missing, I'd be out there searching night and day. I don't know how somebody could just sit at home and just wait for your baby to return. when I'd be out there looking every single second. I'd be out there by horseback. I'd be out there by a golf cart, by whatever I can get my hands on to get into the forest and look, or wherever in these neighborhoods, wherever I could possibly go. I'd still be wearing the same clothes that my son or daughter went missing in. I'd be running on adrenaline. All I could think about is the time that happened to me, when they took Faith from me. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't even drink water.
Could you imagine?
I lost so much weight, and I knew where my baby was at.
Nina,
And this hits home for us because of Faith.
may God bless
Faith's
you
known Sebastian
and your
pretty much
kids.
half of her
Stay
life, or
strong.
her whole entire life.
Brianna, we all feel that way, don't we? Bless her heart.
I feel for Seth. I feel for his family, the Rogers family. I'm in shock. I can't believe this has happened. You know, and Faith asks me, and she talks about Sebastian, and she asks me, Mama, are they gonna find him? And I tell her, yeah. I've talked to Seth on a parent-to-parent level. And we talked about some things that, you know, we shed some tears together, and just the pain in his voice. It hurts. But I feel like people now want to listen to me. People now want to hear my voice when I've been saying the hurtful things that were done to my children and to myself. Nobody wanted to listen to me before. And now that this baby is missing, you want to listen to me now? You want to ask me questions now?
I hope that Nina knows that had we known about her story, we would have all been there for her. She was so alone in all of this. She didn't have the support group that Mr. Chris had, and yet she's still strong enough to stand up. She's terrified for her daughter because they've already lost a child from their home, and her daughter has to go to that home. Yeah, locked and loaded. I've never really put much into that. But then again, it could be something that they calculated or whatever. I don't know. I've never really put much into that. But if you stop and think about it, if this is pre-planned, then they may have used that date to make the impact even worse. Who knows? Yes, Bridget, she's been bullied and ignored. Exactly. I wish there was something that we could do as a group to help support her. But the sad part is we're on YouTube in true crime. And we have all the drama channels infiltrating themselves into the true crime community with nothing but vulgarness. Puts a bad name on all of us when we don't want no part of it. We may need to, Lady for Justice. We may need to. Yeah, they are animals. Nina is remarried. She's happy. But she still has to have her whole life dictated according to Mr. Chris in his control. Could you imagine if she stayed? Rhonda, I might look into that. We may need to do something like that just for her to have some support. Yeah, we may do that. We may do that. Okay, guys, let's finish up as much as we can. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, a little more, just so we can get all the way through with it in our time frame that I need. So here we go. Let's listen to some more.
Like I just feel helpless. Like I don't know what to even think anymore. I see all these things that are being said, and
that's awesome, Lady for
the things that people
Justice.
say, and they have every right to say that. They have every right
Keep
to
me
speculate,
posted.
just like I have. I've there's so many things that I've thought about in my head, but I've thought of the things. I've sat back for a month literally and watched everything and followed every possible thing that I can, listened to what people have said, podcasts, like everything. And I needed for my voice and my story to be heard of my experiences with the Proudfoots and Christopher and Katie. Katie jumped on that bandwagon, or that Christopher and everybody else was on. Just like this past December 27th, Faith was going out to Hendersonville to see her family for the holidays.
Thank you, Lady for
We
Justice.
drove her to the airport. We were all happy. We all got out. Isabella, Noah, Wayne, myself got out of the truck, and we said our goodbyes. We hugged her. We kissed her. There's Katie standing there recording everything like she always does.
I will look into seeing how we can
And I hugged my baby
contact her
tight.
for you.
I tell her I love her.
In silence.
And we prayed. We asked God to keep Faith safe and bring her home safe to us. So as she went with Katie, I had somebody that Christopher, Katie, and his lawyer hired. His name is Michael Tinker. He served me with paper.
Yes, Cinderella, that would be great.
And he tapped on my window, and I just rolled it down. And he said, "Are you so-and-so Gomez?" I said, "Yes." "Why?" He said, "Because you've been served." And the first thing I thought of was, they're going to take Faith. I got out of that truck so fast, and I ran into the airport. And I was
locked and loaded. You're more than welcome. And, it's good to have different, people think differently, because our way of thinking may not always be exact. And I'm always open to different ideas, different patterns or thoughts. You're always welcome here. As long as anybody just stays respectful with their opinions or whatever, that's all I care about. None of us want to be attacked, but we're all open. We're all open.
Down through the airport that she was going to kidnap Faith. Katie and Faith were standing at the Southwest counter, and I told them, I said, "She's going to kidnap my baby." I grabbed Faith on the left side of her hand and I ran with her through the airport. And all I could think about is I got to get back to the truck. And here comes Wayne, Noah, and Isabel running through the airport just to come and see what was happening. And oh my God, my mom, like first thing she thought it was like, and Wayne thought was like, oh my God, Nina's gonna just lay her out. I ran by, and Katie was coming right up behind me, and the guy, Michael Tinker, he stood there trying to flag me down and still trying to serve me with paperwork. In that moment, I'm just thinking about, they're gonna take my baby and I'm never gonna see her again. So I got to the truck. I called APD. During the holiday season, APD is at the airport. So they came within like 5 minutes. Officer Cordova had showed up and was talking about asking questions like what was happening and asked if I had parenting plan on hand. And I'm like, wait, I mean, when I'm just supposed to carry my parenting plan? I mean, and he said, was it his time sharing or yours? And I said, it's his. But I said, why am I being served? And still at this point, Michael Tinker was still trying to give me my paperwork and I wouldn't take it. So he got very upset, lifted up the windshield wipers and threw the paperwork right under there.
Poor Nina. Cecilia, that is amazing news. Oh, that's awesome. Don't you worry about being late. You needed to be there to get that good news. Hey, Maurice. Yes, thank you.
At this point, my kids are crying. I'm crying hysterically. And there's Katie smiling away and recording everything.
Did y'all hear that? Katie, Mr. Chris's wife, Katie, knew that she would panic. But she sat there and recorded all of it. How disgusting of a person are you to sit and record the panic from a mother? Folks, most mothers have that mama bear instinct to protect her children, and especially after what she had gone through the last time she was served papers like that. My gosh. I would have done the same damn thing, except I would have shoved that phone up in Katie's face with my fist. Oh, prayers for your dad, Brianna. Prayers for him. Folks, this is, if Katie was not like this before, she sure has adapted to the Proudfoot Bower Socks lifestyle, in my opinion.
Then the officer's like, Ms. Gomez, you have a court date coming up. And if you don't want the judge to be upset with you, you need to let her go. So you get back out of the truck. And we all do. And I get down to Faith's level. And I tell her how much I love her. And that mommy's gonna always keep fighting for you. And don't ever for 1 second think that mommy does not love you.
Could you imagine what they were telling
her so
about her mother?
Because I don't know if that's the last time I was going to see my baby. He handed her off to Katie. And she left. I could barely breathe when I got back in the truck. Trying to think about, what do I do now? What do I do if she doesn't come home? How am I going to get her home?
I agree, Marcy.
Faith stopped. And she looked at the truck driving away, and Wayne looked back, and she probably thought, is that the last time I'm going to see my family?
Poor Nina.
That day, my whole world was turned upside down. I thought about everything that played in my head, like a movie. That day was hard. I came home and I curled up in a ball. I didn't want nobody to bother me because I'm thinking about how am I going to have enough money to get a lawyer or anything like that. So what they did was they hired that server to come and serve me with a court hearing that I already knew about.
Folks, that was a game they were playing with her. They knew she would react. And it was nothing more than she already knew. She already had been told she had that case. She had court. She knew about it. But they paid money to have her served at the airport while she's handing off her daughter. This is a game to them. They're playing a game with Sebastian's life, in my opinion. They are playing a game with Nina's youngest daughter's life as well. Yes, isn't that crazy, Lady for Justice? Oh my goodness, I'm telling you, that's the links that they'll go to just to create fear in someone. Yes, Laura, they wanted her to look unstable. My gosh, these people. Yes, Alicia, this is years later. And emotion is still so strong. And yet, Katie Proudfoot hasn't ever reacted like this. Exactly. And that, in my opinion, is the biggest red flag you could ever have.
The one that was going to take place January 2nd. So Christopher's lawyer, Christopher, Katie, they all knew what they were doing. They premeditated this again. They wanted me to go crazy. They wanted me to say hurtful things so they can go back to the courthouse and to the judge and say that I was unstable, that I'm mentally, something's wrong. And that's what they did.
Yes, wait, what?
Christopher and Katie and his attorney asked that I get evaluated by a psychiatric doctor. Because I ran through the airport saying that she was gonna kidnap her. But in my mind, I've been traumatized by Mr. Proudfoot and his family. And I brought back trauma. And now, I mean, we're at this point where Sebastian is missing. And everybody, you know, the judge and, you know, other people are telling me, don't talk about this issue in front of Faith. She's too young, she's traumatized. Christopher doesn't talk about that to her. He doesn't tell her that stepbrother is missing. Not once has he said anything to her about it. I think Faith needs to be aware of what's happening. She did.
That makes you wonder, why would they not want to tell her that Sebastian is missing? I wonder, what did they tell her when he wasn't home? Did they tell that little girl that he was at his father's house? Did they lie to her? God only knows how insane this all is.
She did talk to Sebastian when she'd FaceTime Chris and he was at his house. She knows him.
We love you, Cecilia.
I really don't know what to say at this point. Like with Sebastian missing, the situation with Faith, it's been an ongoing situation. I was unaware that Sebastian's father was getting him. I was unaware that he was going to live with his father permanently. Finally, that was disclosed to me about a week and a half ago. I was in shock because I went like, how can you know that you're getting your child for full custody? Like, I mean, you and Katie were preparing for this. You're giving away one kid to get another one. Like, I never understood that. I still don't understand that. I was in shock when I heard that. And I also, it's sickening to think that, and to think that you would be getting a child. Why would you take Faith away from everything that she knows? Her mom, her siblings. She calls Wayne dad. She says, that's my daddy Wayne. Her grandparents, like everything.
Folks, I'll say this. When you have young children involved and parents get divorced and parents don't live under the same house anymore, it is hard for a child, but they do make adjustments. You heard her say she calls Wayne dad because he's dad at their house. That little girl knows who her real father is. She knows. And what person in now 8 years is still trying to gain complete custody over this child after 8 years? Most people would get tired of it. Most people would start to realize the odds are not in their favor and let it go. Let that child live what her normal life is. She has 2 families. She knows that. Let her be a kid. 8 years is overkill on this. It's way too much. Oh, I agree with you on that one, locked and loaded. No, his mommy wants her more than anything. And I would imagine that's probably where that little girl would end up at. But y'all stop and think about it. It's bad enough to have 2 years battling for custody. A judge in Tennessee, in Hendersonville, gave her custody. And for 8 years now, it has been a legal battle. Could you imagine all the money this mother has had to put out on lawyers? All the money this mother has had to put out on legal fees, filing fees, the time away from work to go to court. All of that is being taken away from her children. But they don't care about the kids. But locked and loaded, this is where I would have to disagree with you. Nina is being forced to go to court, even when she changed the schools, when she was told the daughter can't wear leggings to school. All those little petty things had to be done and issued through a court. Katie feels threatened, harassed, and all those things. She chose the court. And Katie left her home that her child supposedly ran away from in less than 2 weeks after he was gone. If he truly was a runaway, what if he came back home? His mother would not be there because she was out on a vacation. Katie is part of those CPS cases. I'm sorry, but I cannot support a mother or a father that have cases of abuse. But that's the thing, locked and loaded. If she knows where he is and he is safe where he is, she should say something. She has caused law enforcement, all these different agencies to come in and look for a child that she knows is not actually missing. Her words to the police were, he ran away. She's sitting here lying to everyone. If she had told the truth and not controlled the narrative, then none of this would be going on right now. But like Mr. Chris, if he is somewhere safe and Katie knows it, she's controlling the narrative to Sebastian's life. And I cannot respect that. The one parent with no accusations of abuse legally would be Seth. Katie filed allegations against him. A judge said he was not granting that, and he turned around and gave Seth joint custody of Sebastian. And that's where I have my problem. What length does a mother's love go to? It goes to any length possible. But when you have a whole world full of people, because we have people from even other countries following this case on Sebastian, investing all of our time in Sebastian, what could have happened to him. I'm not wanting to attack Katie as a mother, but I can see through her lies. You know, even yourself said a while ago, you don't want to be lied to. I don't either. And when I'm sitting here on my channel and investing all of my time into Sebastian's case to try to keep his name out there, when I play all these things to see things that are, this was over a year ago that this was recorded, this interview with Nina, all the things we've learned along the way. She's confirming all of the things that we have seen after she spoke about them. And we gave not much of a credit. We felt bad for her. I feel bad for Katie, because wherever Sebastian is, whether he is still alive or not, I honestly believe that Katie knows, and she has to deal with it. She's the one that has to live with her decisions. She allowed, no, there's no documentation. There's accusation of Seth abusing Sebastian, but that's accusation. And locked and loaded, I will say this, there's 5 CPS reports just in the 14 months they had lived in that home. And I will say this, the person that has those documents in their hand has said they are not all against Christopher Proudfoot. That leaves Katie Proudfoot. And so, no, I can't support their document. I guess it's documented. I don't know, but it was not granted because there was nothing to it. There was no proof of it. It was Katie saying these things while she's trying to get full custody of their son, and ended up with joint custody because there was no proof. Yes, Chris himself did say the CPS reports were not all him. He's admitted to 3. That leaves 2 and 1 open. Katie allowed it to continue. And that's why. No, nothing came of it. And that probably had to do with the fact that his aunt works there. Mommy Socks' sister. There's not going to be a CPS report of a child abusing a parent. That's what I'm thinking. You know, that's what I'm saying. And I do not, in my eyes, see Nina's grief and Katie's grief as being the same. Katie is part of Nina's grief. Katie recorded and made fun of and laughed at Nina when she panicked because she was afraid they would take her child away. Katie was part of that. I just don't see another mother wanting to do that. I don't care how much you dislike your husband's ex. You don't do that. That's disgusting. Yeah, he had to do all these parenting classes. 6 times he was ordered to take them. He had to do the parenting classes 2 different times. Part of Nina's problem is because of Katie. And because of Mr. Chris's family and the control that they have to have. There's a pattern here. No, I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to tell you how I see it and how I feel about it, Locked, because I can't support a mother who's going to allow the abuse to continue in the home towards her son. And I'm not going to support a mother who can do that to another mother. I just can't. I can't in my heart, because that's torture, complete torture. And it's done intentionally. And so for Katie's grief, she went on vacations. She went and stayed in the RV park with her husband when he went to go to work. Her child's missing. A mother who lives one day without their child is torture. Add all the extra days in there and it's complete. You're completely broken. But yet she doesn't show those signs. She doesn't portray herself as a grieving mother. Yeah, no, I don't think you're being an ass. You were never ever disrespectful. I understand what you were saying. And a lot of people see it the same way. If you're going to do this, you might as well do it for the other person. But there is a difference there. Yeah. CP controlled that whole narrative. Honestly believe that. But Katie played along with that whole narrative as well. Yeah. My heart breaks for Nina. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why there was cameras all inside their house. He wanted to watch what was going on. He had to have control. Christopher Proudfoot is a control freak. He is. And he has proven that in tons and tons of ways. And like I said at the very beginning of starting this interview with Nina that she did, she's going to tell us things at the very beginning of this that is going to show how what her words she told us that we just kind of let go to the side are actually how that family really is. She mentioned the court when she went to go to court in Hendersonville, Tennessee. That's maybe what she thinks. It may be what she thinks. It very well could be. I don't know. But I do think Mr. Chris and his family had a lot to do with it. There is a third person involved because there was 2 flashlights in the backyard and 1 person driving a car. So it's not just the 2 of them. I don't believe Seth was abusive. Seth had the patience with Sebastian that he needed everything that's ever been said for a father to move from California all the way to Tennessee, not knowing a person, but within driving distance to be able to get his son. So I don't know. Let's finish listening to her. We're almost to the end.
I don't, I was lost, and now the more and more I find out, it just makes my stomach turn even more. Like, going back to this court hearing that we had, we never got an extension on the restraining order, but I believe that we should have. I did, because I don't know what Christopher nor Katie or the Proudfoots are capable of doing. It's, for all I know, they could take Faith from school. I do right now have temporary full custody of Faith till we go back to court. I mean, I talked to Seth, and I've always told him, I reach out to him and I let him know, we're here, whatever you need, let us know how we can help you. But I remember him telling me the first night that I reached out to him, or he reached out to me, and he said, you can help Sebastian, and you can help me by keeping Faith there and keeping her safe. When you hear that from another parent and the situation that's going on, what do you say? Like, I'm doing the best that I can, but it's the justice system here. My biggest fear is that somebody's going to make the wrong decision for Faith and she goes out there. And what am I going to do? What if something like this happens to my baby?
I agree, locked and loaded. I've said that before.
Are you going to tell me I'm sorry? Miss Gomez, I made the wrong decision. The justice system has failed a lot of kids, has failed my kids, and it's also failed Sebastian. I've been fighting this since Faith is a newborn, and I'm still fighting it. I don't know what it's going to take.
I do, Marcy. I read that. I
don't really think anybody really cares the decisions that they make for children, because it's not happening in their personal family. They don't know somebody. It doesn't hit home. It'll never happen to them. A lot of these people always tell me, don't show your feelings in court. Don't be emotional. So I'm just supposed to sit there without feelings, without crying, without telling people how I really feel. I feel like a lot of these also, because there wasn't enough creamer in their coffee for, a lot of these judges that make these decisions, and maybe they got angry that morning or whatever the circumstances are. They make bad choices for a lot of these children. And I won't let Faith be one of them. I will always fight for Faith, like I have been.
I'm not sure what happens here.
I wish people would open up their eyes and listen to when people are saying it's not a good idea. I don't think they're stable. I don't think that they're a healthy parent. Just look at what happened to Sebastian. And I feel for him because I'm a mom of a 15-year-old daughter. I hope, and we pray every single day for his safe return. If there's anything that I would say to everybody is, look out for one another, look out for your kids. And no relationship is worth your children's relationship at all. At all. So I believe I had to tell my story so it can get out there, because it still haunts me to this day. It haunts my children. It haunts our everyday life. We don't live a normal life. We're always living on the edge because of Mr. Proudfoot. I mean, his mother wanted to pay off the daycare, buy them some new playground equipment, just so Christopher and his mom can stay there longer to see Faith. I mean, I'm sure, my mind is all foggy right now because thinking about everything that I've went through, I'm sure I left some bits and pieces out. But I know what I've experienced, and it wasn't a good experience at all whatsoever. So that's our story.
Okay, guys. So that's what we've got. Oh, wait. Hold on. I went to X off and I pushed next. Sorry. Okay, guys. So that's Nina. We heard her all of us heard it a long time ago. We heard her the first time. Going back and listening to it, we see things now that we've experienced with our own eyes, our own ears. I do believe she's telling us exactly how things played out in her life. I honestly believe the Proudfoots and the Bowerstocks see it all differently, because everything that we have seen and heard from them is always someone else's fault. And so they don't see it as they're torturing her. But a person who fights for 8 years and the woman still has full custody says a lot. It says a lot. A man who goes as far as saying his child cannot wear leggings. To me, that just shows how nitpicking he's being. That's just my opinion. And Locked and Loaded, you are more than welcome for your opinion. And I respect you 100%. I see things differently. And I think that's because I've lost my son. I had to bury my child. It changes you as a parent. And even before that, I would do anything for my kids. But I also made my kids accountable for their actions, because that's what a parent does. And yet, like I said earlier, no, nothing to be sorry about, Locked and Loaded. No. Like I said earlier, Katie has a child who she tells us ran away. And when she realized it was not going to blow over quickly, she should have spoke up, but she hasn't. She should have told us the truth, but she continues to tell this scripted story, and yet all of her actions say otherwise. And by actions, I think what nailed it for me and confirmed it to me was seeing her on a Ring doorbell camera that morning driving down a street while she was supposedly out looking for her son, but yet there was not a window open. She knows where her son is. She knew he wasn't in that neighborhood. Therefore, she drove so her car would be seen, but she didn't think ahead of the fact that people look for their dogs better than she was looking for her son. You roll your windows down and you holler out their name. And like I just said, she holds the key. She knows exactly what has happened to Sebastian, and yet she is continuing to play the game because at this point, each and every person who knows the real truth will be held accountable. And so they have to continue to play the game so that they don't get in trouble. Actually, in my opinion, I think they're making it worse for themselves. I hope and pray that Sebastian is alive. But then you hear about all the CPS cases. You hear about him wearing pull-ups. You hear about Christopher giving Seth all of his underwear because he's not allowed to wear them in their house. Yeah, he might have autism, but he knows how to go to the bathroom by himself. So for him to go regress says there was a problem in that home. Something was happening in his life. But instead of getting down to the bottom of it, they put him in pull-ups. That's degrading for any 15-year-old child to have to go to school and wear pull-ups. I just think Sebastian did not have a good home life with his mother and his stepfather. That's how I feel. The things that have been said and done, the anger that we've heard come out of his stepfather's mouth, the attitude from his mother when she thinks somebody's saying something against her, and yet they weren't. I'm telling you, actions speak louder than words ever could. And at the end of the day, Sebastian is still missing. So where is he? Katie Proudfoot needs to stand up and tell the truth. She needs to let everyone know what happened on the night, early morning of February 25th and 26th. When two parents, a mother and stepfather, are more concerned about a video just down the road from their home with a man walking a dog and trying to make something out of that, but they will not think anything other than it's a trash truck in their backyard. When there's a flashlight of someone holding the flashlight, walking from their backyard to meet another flashlight that's in the middle of the courtyard area. Then one flashlight meets up. They go to a waiting car that, as you start your car these days, your headlights and your tail lights come on at the same exact time. We see this with our eyes. It's obvious there's activity there. A trash truck don't have lights that separate and go different directions. All their lights stay together. So as we go through this, I really believe every day more and more that Sebastian's mother holds the key to every bit of it. And I honestly am to the point that they, Katie and Chris, are enjoying Seth being torn apart. Just like they were with Nina at the airport. With Nina, when she got custody of her daughter and they had to hand her over. They enjoyed every bit of it. You don't live record that horrible time and laugh about it and have compassion in your heart. So at the end of the day, Katie put herself in the home with Sebastian. She was there in that home that night when the lights generated, one light generated from the back of her yard and met up with another light. That flashlight ran back to her backyard. She was the adult in the home. She holds the key. And it's time for Sebastian to be found. It's time for all of this to end. And yet the mother and the stepfather are enjoying all the drama and the chaos that comes along into this missing young man's case. Hey, Justin, love you big. They're enjoying it. They participate in it. Doesn't seem to me that they're too concerned. Mr. Chris even told us that there comes a point when you have to start living your life again. I'm telling you right now, if they had no clue at all where Sebastian was, or even if they did know that he was no longer alive, I can say this. A mother doesn't just decide, okay, today's the day I'm going to start living my life. Because when you lose a child, you lose yourself. Your world is turned upside down. It is the hardest, most horrible thing a parent can go through. I survived that horrible time. After about 2.5 years, I finally got myself up out of my room. I had to make myself start participating in life again. When I was at a point where I could have cared less if I ever woke up again. I was no longer a mother who enjoyed her days with 3 children. It impacts your whole life. And yet 2 weeks later, they went on vacation. To me, that speaks volumes. Either she knows he's alive or she's not the mother that he deserved. So guys, thank y'all for listening to this live over the last 2 days with Nina. Thank you for participating and giving your advice and what you're seeing, because I saw a lot of things that we've experienced since Nina has spoken out. I've seen a lot of that. I've heard a lot of the same. And I think it was good for us to go over that again. And I do have complete respect for Nina. She has survived after all these years of spending her money and her time to try to fight against something that's unnecessary. And her children have had to suffer as well. Very well could be possible. Locked. Very well. I just wish it would be the time to say, yes, he did. And he had every right to go full point, full panic mode, because he knew what was going to be said. He knew what he had done to her. If only Chris's first wife would speak out, he would really panic, because that would be the woman he left for dead after using a hammer on her head. And she was so terrified. So terrified. But according to him, he has great relationship with his ex-wives. But from what I'm hearing, once again, it's Mr. Chris's version. A person isn't married that many times and moves on that fast and not be part of the problem. Guys, I'm going to let y'all go. I have ball games to hurry and get to. Got to head out here in just a minute. I thank you, each and every one of y'all, for being here. I love y'all so much. I appreciate y'all. And we'll be back tomorrow. We've got some more stuff to talk about. It's crazy out on those streets. And for what? What is the purpose of all the craziness? I don't know. I don't get it. But I love you all so much. And y'all have a super great night. Always remember, we're here for Sebastian. He is the reason we're all here. So with that, love and hugs, everybody. See y'all soon. Bye.